The beauty of phyllo dough is it works great with savory food and sweet food. I'm going to show you both. Fun with phyllo today on Let's Cook. Hi, welcome to Let's Cook. We are having fun with phyllo today. Phyllo, which means leaf in Greek, are tissue paper thin sheets of dough layered on top of each other. However, phyllo did not originate in Greece as most people think. The dough technique actually came from Istanbul during the Ottoman reign. If you're a fan of baklava, you probably knew it was Turkish. Before we get started in the kitchen, let's just look at today's menu, because what we're doing is we're making a phyllo dough. Then we'll use that phyllo dough for a cabbage and caraway strudel, and then for the sweet side, a phyllo crusted strawberry tart. Out of this world. Now, to make phyllo, we're going to be using bread flour. Bread flour is a high gluten dough, so it produces flour, so it produces a very elastic dough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my bread flour right here, and I'll use a dough hook for this. And I'm just going to bring this up here. We'll put a pinch of salt in here. Then we're just going to start this mixing right here. I'm going to add the oil to this and water. Now, I always hold back a little bit on the water. And we're just going to let this dough start to mix here. It's going to mix together and actually has to mix for about 10 minutes. Once it's mixed for about 10 minutes, you put it away and you allow it to rest. Now, you don't oil the dough. So what you do is you just take the dough, put plastic wrap on top of it, and put it away like this. And this is what it looks like right here. So then we'll just take this beautiful dough that we have here. We'll pick this up here. And then now we're using no more flour, now we're using cornstarch. And what I do is I'll take the dough and I'm just going to work it along this way. See how I'm working it this way so it's nice and rounded like this, almost like a log. Then we'll take this, use a dough cutter or a knife, we'll come in half this way, bring it over here, and we'll bring it in half this way too. Here's where the fun part comes. So we stand the dough up like this. I feel like I should be doing, okay, which cup is it on? I'm not really sure which cup it's on, but here we go. Here we are. Yeah, we'll do a little phyllo shell today. But then what we do is we take some cornstarch here. On your cutting work surface here, you flatten out the one piece like this, so it's nice and round. Additional cornstarch right here. Put that on the side. We do the same with this, so they should all be about the same size. Again, remember, we make the dough, we allow it to rest for an hour before you go to do this. Come here, same process. Now, in between each layer, make sure you put some cornstarch here, and then you just allow these to rest for about another hour. So you cover these with just plastic wrap, and you allow them to rest for an hour. This is what they end up looking like. Now, after they've rested for about an hour, take off the plastic wrap and you just press this, making sure they don't get a skin. Put it on a flat surface when you press it, so you just press it this way. Now, when you put these away, when you go to put these away, what you're going to do is, let me just get, oh, this is what I want over here. How's our dough doing over here? Okay, you can see our dough is starting to come together here. Probably when I'm done this segment, it'll be totally together. What you do now is you'll take these, and again, you can see that the cornstarch has been absorbed here. Use a sifter this way, put a little bit in here, and just sprinkle it this way. Another one, here it goes. You'll go like this. Then you'll bring this one over here, and doing the same thing this way, the dough itself will not stick together. A little bit more here, and a little bit more here. Cover this, allow it to rest for another hour. So now you can see you have a little bit of a process here, but it's well worth it, because this phyllo is nothing like you buy in a supermarket. Once it gets to that point, this is what it looks like. So now it's even larger. So what I'll do with this now is I'm just going to take this, my dough here, put it here, and then I'm going to make sure that in between each layer I have a lot of cornstarch. because we just take it like this, and again, we need to dust this with a little bit more flour here. Now this is kind of fun here, because this is where you get to make a lot of mess in the kitchen. So here we are, more cornstarch on here, and by the way, flour won't work with this. The flour will actually get into the dough, but the cornstarch will not. But again, you can see you really get to make a mess here. So you can do all 8 layers, but you could just do 4 this way too. Let's go back to the machine here. It's calling me. Now you see what's happening here where the dough has now really come together. I'm just going to put this on it, on a nice slow speed, and let this to continue to knead until it really forms a really tight ball, and then I would put it away. So this is kind of, I'm showing here just a little bit backwards here, but you can, I'll show you this dough here where it's very, it's not sticking to my hands. It's not dry, it's damp, but you can see here, see how it's breaking here? Still has to go back on the machine, work a little longer. So let's let that work. Now, here's where the fun comes. This is where we get to roll out our phyllo. So now I'm just going to come here, starting at the top here. I'm going to work it from the middle, bring it this way. Then we'll come here, we'll bring it this way, this way, this way, this way. Again, more, this way, but only because the dough is very relaxed am I able to do this. Pick it up, make sure it's not sticking together. Take this, I'll flip it over now, and I'll do the other side until I get it very, very thin. We'll be able to see through this. Let me just give me 1 more minute to work this right here, and you'll see how nice and thin I can really get it. And remember how small this was. Remember how small these pieces were? And look at my cutting board here is probably about almost, I would say 2.5 feet here by about, I would say almost 2 feet. So it's a lot, and I'm going to fill the whole side of this. Now watch what happens here, look. Isn't that beautiful? Look at this. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? Now if you get a little hole in there, that might be where the cornstarch kind of just absorbed too much liquid there. The hole doesn't matter because this is going to be beautiful and moist. So, and then I have to cover this with a towel, but look at this second sheet in here. See how beautifully thin this is? Look at, isn't it gorgeous? Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? As I finish rolling my phyllo here, because I want to get it a little thinner, we're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to use this delicious phyllo to make a lovely cabbage caraway strudel. But before we go, I have a little trivia question for you. Strudel, as you know, is a German word. What does strudel mean when translated to English? Does it mean thin dough? Does it mean vortex? Or does it mean layered? We'll give you the answer when we come back. Fun with Phyllo today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where we are having fun with Phyllo. Before we went to break, I gave you a trivia question. Let's see if you got it right. The question was, what does the German word strudel mean when translated to English? Your choices were thin dough, vortex, or layered. The answer is vortex. Vortex refers to the method of rolling the dough around the filling. I'll bet my German friends got that one right away. Now, we're not actually using strudel dough today. Instead, we are using phyllo dough. So remember, we made the phyllo. I have one piece right here, and I'll show you how to use that in just a second, because the first thing we have to do is we have to make the cabbage strudel stuffing. So let's just go over the ingredients here. We have, I have some, my cabbage, I have my fennel, I have apples, onions, caraway, butter, parsley, and then of course a little salt. So the first thing that we do is we heat our pan. To this now, we'll add the butter. Now as soon as the butter goes in and it starts to melt, beautiful, we'll take 2 things that we're going to put in. The first thing we're going to put in is a cabbage. Along with that cabbage, we add the onions. We're just going to let this start to sweat and saute for a little bit. After the onions just get a little soft, all the other ingredients go right in there. The caraway and the parsley. Now what you do with this, and the fennel of course too, what you do with this is you allow this to cook till the vegetables are about 3/4 of the way done. Then you remove it and you allow it to cool down. This is what it looks like once it's cooled down. I'll just mix this around here for a second, but see how we've just cooked it till it's just a little soft, and then you let this cool down. Now, to make the dough, here's where we get to use our own strudel dough. I mean our own phyllo dough here to make the strudel. I have my dough right here, and all I'm going to do with my knife is I'm just going to take off this end here, which is a little rounded, and this end here, and then the last end right here. Now, the other thing that's very important is you take this and you brush off any of that cornstarch. Remember, it was layered with cornstarch, so it's nice and dry that way. And then what we're going to do is we take this and we brush this with a little bit of butter. Now, the great thing about working with this dough is if you've ever bought the phyllo dough in the store and it's usually frozen, what ends up happening is it cracks and breaks on you. This has a little bit more flexibility to it. Then I take this piece right here and I fold it over right here. Then we'll take this piece right here and I'll brush this with butter. Isn't this cool? Now, remember the one piece that had a little hole in it? It's right here. That's okay, because I'll be able to use that too, because then I'll take this piece right here. This goes on top right here. I'll cut this off where I cut the other ones off here, and you could just cut these together if you wanted to. Either way, it'll work. And right across the top here, we brush this with a little bit of butter. Now, the other important thing with this is, again, make sure you brush it off, but also make sure that you leave the ends open, because this will seal nicely. But this looks pretty good, doesn't it? Now, here's what we do with our stuffing. We just take our stuffing, which is nice and cooled down now, and you'll lay this flat. Now, in the very beginning here of the dough, where the dough is right here, you'll leave, roughly about a 1/2 inch to an inch right there. And you'll do the same thing at the bottom seam, where you leave about a 1/2 inch at the very bottom seam right here. Now, here's where it gets to be fun. Now, okay, yeah, let me just, whoops, wipe off my hands right here. We are. Want to keep your hands nice and dry when you do this. Now, just I'm going to fold this over here, then we'll come, you just continue to fold this over. Now, if you have any excess cornstarch, just dust that off there, but you end up with our strudel. Looks just like that. This is going to be so good. And you know what's really great about this? You can serve this warm, room temperature, and it's great with sour cream and chives. Then we just take our dough right here, put it on nice and straight here. Remember, I did not close the ends. Give it some nice shape there, and then, of course, right there. Oh, there we are. Beautiful. Now, because we left that one little bit that locked in at the bottom here, as this cooks, it's not going to explode or anything else, because any of the moisture that's coming out of the filling can actually come out the ends. I'm going to get this in the oven, and to see this, you're just going to have to stay till the end of the show. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're talking phyllo crusted strawberry tart. Don't go anywhere. It's Fun with Phyllo today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. You know, cuisine is amazing. Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome back to Let's Cook. I'm so excited because it amazes me that you can take a simple dough like this, which is made with bread, and it's our phyllo dough we made today, and come up with something as beautiful as this. And it's so thin you can almost see through it. And this is so much nicer than something, let's say, like this. It comes out of the frozen section of your supermarket. And I'll just show you what I mean, because when you buy this, first of all, when you buy this phyllo dough, and I'm not against phyllo in the freezer because I've used it many times, but when you buy this and you take it, and it's these wonderful thin sheets, and then you have to unwrap them here, and then you have these sheets here, and if they break. So which would you rather give your family? something with a little love, or something like this, or something that you made from scratch. I think you're going to like this better, because I don't think there's really a comparison. Okay, so I guess we need to make our strawberry tart now. To make our strawberry tart, it's so easy because we simply take strawberries. Again, remember, cuisine should be simple. We'll take our strawberries right here. Along with those strawberries here, I'm going to add, about a half a cup of sugar. Then, just going to add some melted butter to this. All this melted butter in there. Beautiful. Even add whole butter there. And then I'll just take this, mix this together, and let it start to marinate just a little bit, or macerate a little bit because of the sugar, before I put in my filling. Now, to make the filling, to make the tart itself, you need a nice pan like this. Now, we're going to butter the inside of this pan right here with butter. That looks good too, doesn't it? That's now ready to go. Need to melt this butter. It's getting just a little hard here. Let's get this on the stove here. Just soften that a little bit. So now this is good to go. Now, here's what we do. Take your phyllo dough like this. Now remember, you're going to have to shake off. Somebody out there is probably saying, Paul, you're making such a mess. Stop it. Okay, I'll stop it. But I'm just going to take this piece right here and drop it down into the pan here. Drop this all down into the pan. And you know, that's a fun thing about cooking is not only do you get to cook, but then you get to clean up. Then we'll take a little bit of butter here. Okay, this is working for me. A little bit of butter here. Working for me. Another piece of phyllo. Now, here again, remember, you might be making a little bit of a mess here. So I'll take another little piece of phyllo here, making sure I shake off any of that excess cornstarch. I now press this in, brush this with butter. This is really working for me. And come over by the edges here too. We'll get another beautiful piece of phyllo here. Again, shaking it off over the counter. I feel like I'm making pizza, but I'm really not. This piece goes here. And again, this dough is not expensive to make, so it's actually the butter that goes into this that gets a little expensive. We brush this with butter. Make sure you come up on the edges here too when you brush this with butter. And we have to get one more sheet on here. By the way, you can take this dough and you can freeze this dough if you take and you put parchment paper in between it, okay? And I would leave it flat. I would not roll it out, and then just take it out and allow it to defrost in the refrigerator. And if you have a few tears in it, it's really okay because it's going to be delicious. Wait till you see. Then we just take our stuffing right here. Put our stuffing all the way in the middle, our filling. Beautiful, there we are. Doesn't that look good? Now, here's what we get to do. This is kind of the fun part here, because then you'll just take your knife right around the edge here, all the way around. Take this off here too. Then, before you get this in, before you get this in the oven, what you do is you brush the sides here like this, and then you roll these up. As I roll these up and kind of fold them over the strawberries this way, we're going to take a little break, but don't go anywhere because you need to see how the strawberry, phyllo-crusted strawberry tart, and cabbage caraway strudel come out of the oven. We're talking phyllo today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook. Today, we've been using phyllo dough for two delicious items. Let me get them out of the oven now. We have, first of all, I have the cabbage and caraway strudel right here. And you can see how beautiful that looks. And then last but not least, oh, I can't wait to have a little bit of this. We have this delicious strawberry tart. Now, finish this strawberry tart, it's really a nice idea to just take, let it cool down a little bit, and then just take and just dust, not the sides, but just the middle of the strawberries while they're still warm. Phyllo's a wonderful thing. A lot of versatility for not only savory or sweet. Thank you for watching me and my Phyllo today. You have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.